Hello and welcome back to our monthly Bookmas. We are definitely not behind on schedule for this video. Monthly. It's more like 6 months, 6 weekly at this point. But we've read The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, and we're here to tell you what we thought of it. And Olivia would like to sum up for both of us what we thought of it.
Okay, well, how far did I get?
Not far.
I got that far through.
I got that far through. Really boring.
Just really boring.
Really boring. Okay? Really boring.
I wanted to like it, I really did.
I really did too. I really wanted to experience the Bronte. I really wanted to experience this kind of interesting, like, little world, the community. It was just so freaking dull. I didn't even get to the bit where it picks up.
I don't think it does.
Apparently, you know, it picks up, but like, it's 500 pages.
I got halfway through.
I got 150 in, and I'm just like, I feel like I've read the first 3 pages. It's just a man going hunting, having tea with his overbearing mother, and looking at a woman who's moved into a house over the hill and going, ooh, what's she up to? I don't care.
It does go on a bit from that.
Yes, obviously it does.
I got a bit further. I got to her point of view.
Yes.
And learning about her life before she moved to whatever this place is called.
The problem, Wildfell Hall.
That shows
she is indeed the tenant of Wildfell Hall.
How much is book's done with
The problem is that the base story, and this is, I think this is the issue with the book as well, and I feel like anyone who watched the last month's episode may have predicted this. The problem is that the central drama within the text, and again, bear in mind, I never even got to it, and I was that bored. I've looked it up later on. The central drama and issues surrounding the characters, and like the main point of the book is like this woman is like separated from her husband because he was drunk and abusive. And so she's run away.
Well, it's meant to be. I understand why, when it was written, it was such a.
That's my point.
Book, yeah.
It's such a big thing
it was a book about domestic abuse. Yeah. And even though I've not read the end of it, again, I've looked stuff up and I've heard reviews that it is supposed to be about this woman who gets away from the domestic abuse, takes her son, and tries to restart her life.
Yeah.
Something that, in modern context, is not. No. Strange, but then was very unusual, hence the scandal in the book and everyone kind of judging this woman of like, oh no, you don't want to interact with her because she's scandalous and there's a mystery. And so I understand the historical context of it, and I've heard really good reviews. People love it and think it's this really interesting kind of like one of the original feminist kind of pieces in that time.
Well, that's cool.
And so I wanted to like it, and I thought that was a really interesting take to see that, as opposed to all of the other stuff that I've kind of read of this time where the women are the central characters, where they're all very stereotypical women of that time and they follow all the rules and conform to everything that's expected of them. It was just so boring.
It's just dull. This video is going to be very short because it's just so boring.
I had 2 problems with it.
I've never been more bored.
It was very slow. Secondly, again, it's an older book. It's not the book's fault. The language, I found, if I sat and read the book for more than a chapter at a time, I was absorbed in the language and I didn't really have any trouble, and I would just read it and forget that I was reading a slightly older English. But if I just picked it up at breakfast to read a chapter, I just couldn't get into the language. And I don't normally have that problem with books that are written in the Victorian era. I normally just read them. But there was something about this book that I basically had to commit an hour minimum, if not hours, to sit and read chunks of it in order to not have the problem with it.
Just
the language.
So dull, man.
And the story just didn't ever really pick up. There was just a lot of description about characters that then turn out not to be necessary, or just this kind of backwards and forwards of the man who was originally the main character and the woman, just like these kind of conversations between them, but where nothing really happens, and you just don't really know why you're having to hold these conversations.
It's just so, I just can't get over how bored I was reading it. And Olivia, I think, actually told me to stop reading it because I was like wasting my breakfasts.
Yeah, you were. I could tell you weren't enjoying it because you were. I'm going to read a chapter with breakfast, and you were getting to almost the end of breakfast before you'd picked it up, and then you were just kind of slogging through it and moaning about it. And I could tell you weren't enjoying it.
And then I pick up a book I actually enjoy and I just read for an hour.
And you devour it, and you just randomly read it at other times in the day, whereas this you were just putting it down and not going near it again.
It made my morning sad. It's not that it's bad, it's just not a book for the modern time, and it's not maybe a book for me, for my sensibilities. I just don't, I think it's a bit tame and boring.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, those old stereographs, what are they called? You know, the pictures of women showing their ankles. And, you know, they're scandalous in 1812.
The original porn.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're properly The thing is, there was plenty of actual pornography, but I mean, that's for the lower classes. But in polite society, the idea of them, like, showing ankles and pulling up the long dresses, exactly. That's very, you know, ooh, my goodness, it's against norms. Whereas there's actually tons of regular pornography from common people. But it's the same thing. It's just a different time period, and there's different morals, isn't there?
I think where I've seen this book appreciated has been looking at it from a historical point of view.
Different mores, not morels. That's a mushroom. I combine the word societal mores with morals. I don't with morals. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's where I think it's been enjoyed. People who are kind of almost studying it and using it as a text to learn what life was like in that time period and the concepts of running away from domestic abuse and not just putting up with the situation, and divorce wasn't normal, and it's interesting from that point of view, but it really needed to pick up the pace.
It needed to hurry the hell up, dude.
Because I was halfway through the book and you were now in her, I think they were her diaries, and you were getting a sense of how she was in this unhappy marriage. But at that point in the book, she just felt like any other woman from that time period. There was a lot of religious stuff that she was talking about. She was talking about her son. And there wasn't really any sign of her not putting up with this abusive man. So I'm assuming that as the book goes on, he gets more abusive. And then she finally leaves. But the problem is I could also predict that from what I've heard about the book and where the story was going. I was like, well, I know exactly what kind of... I might be wrong. I haven't read the end of it. But I kind of get a sense that I knew where it was going.
It just doesn't seem worth it to continue.
I haven't given up with it. The first time I picked up this book...
Oh yeah, this is a second time.
2.5 years ago, I didn't get more than maybe 3 or 4 chapters in before putting it down. This time I got halfway through. So maybe in a couple of years' time, I'll pick it up again and I'll get a bit further. Like, I want to like it.
I'll lock her in a room with it, and then maybe she'll finish it.
Was there anything you liked about it? Anything at all? Other than the fact I let you put it down?
That's my favourite part. No,
nothing at all?
I think it might be one of the worst books I've ever read.
Really?
I just really did not enjoy it, any page. Okay. I didn't enjoy a single page of it. There was like one line that I thought I was like, it's pretty good. I can't even remember what it was now.
So it really stuck with you?
I found it so desperately boring.
That's interesting.
I found it, I mean, it was interesting the way, I thought it was interesting to experience the way in which certain people of a certain class interact. Which was interesting. I don't often read text in that kind of upper class crust of society, especially those who are, let's be honest, pretending to be upper class, because they're not actually. They're gentry. They're not actually that rich. They're just wealthy, which in a lot of novels, I mean, compared to a lot of novels with rich people in them, they're not crazy wealthy. They're actually decently wealthy, you know. They have land, but they're members of the landed gentry. They're not aristocracy or anything.
Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of interesting, this kind of there's a fakeness to it. You have to have these little parties, and you have to get together, and you have to eat these things and drink these things. This feeling of this kind of accepted and shared cultural, like, almost like a responsibility, noblesse oblige, but that's not correct, because noblesse oblige means to the rights you have to the people below you, that you should be looking after them. This feels like almost like they have an obligation to appear as fancy as possible. And they act that way with each other. And I thought that was interesting. There was just barely any of it. And it was, all right, now back to whether or not she is interesting. Look at this woman off in the distance. Oh, she's single. What's happening there? I don't care. Yeah. You?
I'm not really sure. I feel like there were times where I read it and I felt like I was into it, but they were more times when I was like sitting and reading it for quite a few hours and didn't have anything else around me to do. Anything in particular I enjoyed? No, I don't think so.
Sorry, your voice. No.
There's not one thing that's like stood out to me as being good
I'm tired
or memorable.
now just thinking about it.
No, I think it was one of those things that I really, really wanted to like, but didn't. It's almost like an activity that everyone loves and everyone really hypes up.
Yeah.
And so you force yourself to do it because you think it's what you should be doing, but you really aren't enjoying yourself and you don't like it. But you're trying to tell yourself, just keep at it. You will like it. You will be normal. But no, I didn't.
It was very dull. Well, I recommend you don't read it.
Unless you're into that kind of thing. Like,
Unless you're into that kind of thing.
If you really love the Brontes. See, I don't think I really do. I like Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
But Charlotte Bronte, I struggle so much with her. So, yeah, maybe if you like the Brontes or you do want to learn about women's rights and stuff in that time period.
It does not receive the Aldra's life seal of approval.
No.
Whose turn is it to recommend a new book?
You, because I've not done a very good job. You haven't finished the last 2 books that I've chosen.
So I'm going to pick something. It's something we've both been wanting to read recently, and it's another classic. I picked Thackeray Text, William Makepeace Thackeray, and I was interested in recommending Barry Lyndon, which is one of my favourite movies, and I would like to do the book. But then I thought, my copy of Barry Lyndon is gorgeous, and it's like really small, so it's perfect for like a trip to going away. So instead, I wanted to do a different Thackeray. It's almost the reverse of what, what's his name? The director. Stanley Kubrick did for Barry Lyndon, because he wanted to make Vanity Fair, and then when he shopped the script, he discovered it would be too long, and that's why they did Barry Lyndon.
Okay, and now it's been made into a mini-series, hasn't it?
What, Vanity Fair?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Decided that works better than a movie.
Indeed, apparently there's just too much for it to be a movie, whereas Barry Lyndon's a bit easier. So, we're going to read William Makepeace Thackeray's Vanity Fair, and we have 2 copies of it. A beautiful, a nice, somewhat plain but very utilitarian Penguin paper copy.
Thank you.
And a hardbacked classic, one of those original edition copies. Not really original edition, you know what I mean. Old boys. With illustrations from the author. Thackeray was quite famed for doing all of his own illustrations.
I don't have illustrations in mine.
Which is gorgeous. This was published in 1933, this one.
I have notes at the end. Do you have notes at the end of yours?
Probably
not in a version like that.
No, probably not.
Right, yeah, Dibsy this one.
Yeah, you like the notes. I like the notes too.
This also feels really nice. It just feels really like...
Yeah.
Floppy, comfy book.
We'll compare. So, you got to read Vanity Fair. It's quite a long text, but it's supposed to be very good. I'm looking forward to it quite greatly.
Hope we can finish this one.
Let's hope we can finish it and not suck. Hope to see you in the next month's video. Make sure that you also read Vanity Fair. And also, leave a like and a comment down below and subscribe to the channel for more book reviews.
Does anyone like the Tenant of Wildfell Hall?
Did anyone like it? Anyone in the world?
Anyone at all?
Anyone at all, please.
Somebody.
And Bronte's sitting here like, please.
She's like, no, I didn't like it either.
No, it was crap. I died of tuberculosis to get away from it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, dark.
Still too soon.
Still too soon. All right, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.